All right, everybody, I just want to welcome you all and thank everybody for coming out today. And the attendance is much higher than we expected. And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here. If you don't take the time to get involved, we don't know what people need or want, and that makes it really hard for just 5 of us to figure out. So thank you very much. I also want to let you guys know that we have a couple volunteer spots that we need to fill. We have an opening in our social committee, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We also have an opening in at least one of our block captain slots. So if you're not sure what those are, as we go through the meeting, we'll try to answer those questions. Also, I want to let you know, there's been some confusion in the past. People have asked about the board meetings. All board meetings are open to anybody who wants to attend them. Most of our board meetings happen on very short notice. We are required to give 5 days notice to the board members so that they know, hey, there's going to be a board meeting. If you guys have an interest in attending a board meeting, if you could just let us know in advance, you can either contact the management company or you can contact one of the board members. You can send an email. That way we can put you on an email list, or we can have your phone number listed down. When we know there's going to be a board meeting coming up, we'll let you know when it's going to be. If you'd like to speak at a board meeting, we ask that you let us know in advance that you want to attend the board meeting, that you'd like to be on the agenda, so that we can actually slot time in. We actually had really, really long board meetings in the beginning as we got started, 4 and 5 hour board meetings. We joked that we had a 2-day board meeting one time. We started at 7 p.m. at night. We didn't end until about 2 in the morning. So we got those down to about 2 hours. We'd like to keep them that way now. And it's a very strict 2 hours, so that requires a lot of times that we have you guys let us know that you want to be able to speak so that we can slot the time, like I said. Last thing I like to throw out is just, I don't know, a lot of people know about it, and we had things mentioned on the website. CN2 News picked it up. It ended up being a nice little story. People in the community offered to help out a homeless man that I asked you to help out. John Pennery and his wife Karen, they actually donated a bicycle for him, but the community all came together and said they would immediately donate money, and I just thought it was great. So I just want to personally thank you for helping out with that. From that, we're going to go ahead and move into the presentation, and we'll get started there.
I'm the one that keeps time, so I have to start my time on the chart.
So the first thing we're going to do, the way we're going to run this today, it's going to be run as a board meeting, so you get an idea of how we run our standard board meetings. Normally when we go ahead and start off, the first thing we'll do is we'll call the meeting to order. So we'll do that now. We'll call the meeting to order at 14:09 hours, which is 2:09 for those of you without military backgrounds. After that, we go ahead and confirm that we have a quorum. For this purpose, there's going to be no votes today outside of anything the board might speak about. So for the quorum, it's going to be the membership of the board. There has to be at least 3 members according to our bylaws. And at this time we have, it appears, all the members of the board, so we have a quorum. The meeting notice was something they want us to go over. Make sure that we sent these out by mail so that everybody would have notice before we started. The notice was just to inform everybody that there would be an open board meeting with a forum, or with a forum where you could speak. to give an idea of what the agenda was going to be. We posted those on Nextdoor. If you're not on Nextdoor, I'd ask that you take the time to sign up for Nextdoor. It's kind of like Facebook. Most everybody here, I think, is on Nextdoor. I recognize a lot of faces and names. If you're not on Nextdoor, it's similar to Facebook, but it doesn't have all your personal information pushed out. I don't like to mix my family pictures and my things that I'm doing with my family out of town with everything around me and all the homeowner stuff. So Nextdoor was an opportunity for us to set it up so that you can get information that's specific to the homeowners association and the things going on in the neighborhood without being inundated on Facebook. You can go in and change the settings so that you get a daily update of just the things that are going on. You can flip through a little newsletter basically. If there's nothing that interests you, you can delete it off. It's also where we're posting our board minutes, we're posting notices of meetings, we're putting a lot of information there so that it's quickly available to people. It also has the added feature of an urgent alert status, which makes it so that if, for instance, I walk outside and find that somebody broke into my car, I can go on Nextdoor and send out an urgent alert to everybody that's on Nextdoor in our neighborhood saying, hey, I just found my car broke into. That gives you the opportunity to walk outside and hopefully see somebody running away from your car, which can help out with crime alerts. It's something that the police departments have got behind. CMPD is on it right now. We hope to get Lancaster Sheriff's Office to get interested in it. And it also links us with other communities around us, so it gives them an opportunity to see the things that we want them to see. So if you're, for instance, trying to sell your refrigerator, it's kind of nice when you can tell everybody in the surrounding area, hey, I'm selling a refrigerator. So it's a good thing. It's a good tool. I'd like you guys to consider using Nextdoor. I'll take a few seconds here to just introduce each of the board members. On the far left over here is Lisa Jones. She's the secretary of the board. John Rodman, to my immediate left, he is the member at large. Chris Martin is the vice president of the association. And then Brigida Desiree on the far end there, she is the treasurer for the association. So if you haven't met us before or put a name to a face, that's us. Next thing up, we've got a list of volunteers up here, and I know that not everybody's name is probably up here. We were very blessed. We had a lot of volunteers this year. If we didn't get your name up there, I very much apologize. We've had people come out and help with planting of flowers. We've had people who've come out and get involved in answering questions, going door to door, just a lot of different things. So I just want to express a quick thank you to everybody who has helped out with the association this year. It's a lot of work. Everybody up here at this table puts in a lot of time with it, and then there's a lot of people in the community who you don't see every day. So these are a few of the names. And again, just a thank you from everybody on the board, and a thank you from everybody in the neighborhood.
If your name's not up here, blame me. So.
Yeah. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the accomplishments of the board. I'm going to ask Chris to go ahead and start off and just talk about some of the different things that we've done this season. He who does not toot his own horn has a horn that goes untooted, so we are going to toot our horn a little bit. We're going to try to point out some of the things that we feel like we've done right and go from there. So with that, I'll pass it off to Chris.
I'm going to stand up. It's just a little more comfortable. Yeah. All right, so I think you guys are going to be pleased with some of the things that we've accomplished. As Rob said, we put in a lot of time and effort for the community as a whole. Most of it's based off of the feedback we've been getting from you guys. So just a very quick update. So if you see bullet point number 1 up here, we were able to figure out that we weren't quite getting the hours out of our pool lifeguard staff that we had contracted for. So after bringing this to the attention of the pool management company, we were able to get a refund of $1,600 put back into our reserves account. So that's actually a really big win. And you'll see that we've also got some additional work going on with the pool company I'll get to in just a moment. Second bullet point, we have increased the speed of the architectural review request by 15%. That is give or take. I personally think it's a little faster than that because now that the architectural review board is headed up by members of the neighborhood, the requests are getting taken care of, getting reviewed, and taken care of and getting an answer back to each of us a lot quicker than they were in the past. So I know some of you have been frustrated with that. If any of you need to submit requests going forward, I can tell you that you guys will be pleased with the with the response that you're getting and the timing that it takes to get a response back. Bullet point number 3. We launched the Almond Glen website. So this will give us the community newsletter. It gathers real-time information and references information specific to the community. Now, we have our website apart from Nextdoor, but they are tied together. You'll find a lot of links between the two sites and a lot of the same information on both. Both of them are a great resource, and I would encourage you to check each of them frequently. It's also a spot where you can pull down any documentation you need from the neighborhood. So if you want to submit an ARC request, which is the architectural review request, or you want to see a copy of the CCRs or something of that nature, this is where you would go to find it. Next bullet point, we have had several community-wide events, and these have been facilitated by the committees and the volunteers that you saw on the previous slide. So we've had our end of summer potluck, a fall festival, fall flower planting, and Christmas tree lights and decorations in the neighborhood. I'm sure you guys have seen those as soon as you pull in. That's all thanks to the efforts of the community and everybody just really chipping in to do their part. So if you guys haven't been involved in the past, I would highly encourage you to get involved. These things are a lot of fun. Great way to meet some of your neighbors. So the next bullet point, we have been able to get the pool reclassified as a type B pool. So without going into a whole lot of detail on this, the pool previously was classified as a type E pool. Well, the type E pool is the type of thing you would find where a large number of public people can just attend the pool with tube water slides and things of that nature. It's basically something you would find at Carowinds. Obviously, we do not have that in our neighborhood, so we were able to make the argument that our pool classification needs to be changed. We had to go to Columbia, South Carolina, or not physically, but contact them down there to actually get the classification changed. It did go through. The benefit of this is we can now renegotiate our contract with our pool company about the number of lifeguards that we have, the number of hours that the pool can stay open, the length of time the pool can stay open, and all the other variables. We now have control over that because of the reclassification. So you guys will see some changes coming up, as you know, just in the way we're running the pool, but also in the contracts that we are negotiating and the amount of money it's going to cost us to have a pool management company. Next bullet point is the AG newsletter transition from an expense to a revenue generator. You guys, this is huge, and we have a whole slide dedicated to it coming up, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I definitely wanted to highlight that point. The next one is phase 1 of the separate pool meter installation complete, and the final scheduled date for completion is in the spring, and it's a projected $4,000 yearly cost savings. Let me give you a little background on that. We found that the water coming into the pool and irrigation system were on the same meter. Okay, so as the water was coming in, we were being charged a water cost and a sewer cost for every gallon of water that went through. So that means the water that went into the pool, right, any water that comes out of the pool actually does go back into the sewer. So that was correct. Have a water cost and a sewer cost up front. However, the water on the irrigation system was simply being put out into the open to soak into the ground to water our plants. There was no sewer being used at all. So what we were able to do is call up Lancaster City Water and Sewer, tell them that we wanted a second meter installed. So now the pool and the irrigation are going to be on 2 separate meters. We will no longer be charged a sewer charge on the water that goes through the irrigation. Our estimated cost savings is about $4,000 a year to the HOA. So that's another big win for us. The meter has been put in. The only remaining thing to do is to lay the remaining pieces of pipe to connect the meter into the irrigation system. We do have a plumber coming out to do that, so it's scheduled to be completed before spring. So with the last bullet point here, and then I have one other note after that, is that we do have a new property management company, which we're all very happy about. We have great expectations for this management company. I have no doubt this is going to be a great partnership with them going forward. They will be responsive to you guys and responsive to us. We do, I believe, have another update on that later on in the presentation, so I won't get too far into that. One other thing that we have been working on that we don't have posted up here, I do just want to hit on for a moment, is we've been looking at a new garbage company to service the dumpsters in the townhome area, see if we can get some better service. At the moment, we have come to a settled price with a new company. We're just hammering out the final terms and conditions. We expect to have a contract signed within the next couple of weeks, so you will see an increase in better service. Now, as we've been working with this company, we were also trying to negotiate getting in, having them to purchase a sign for us to go on the dumpster saying no illegal dumping, which has been a request we've heard from around the neighborhood. I do want to let you guys know that one of the neighbors has taken it upon herself to actually provide us with the sign, and I just wanted to recognize her real quick. Denise Harris, if you're in the room, everybody can thank her for actually getting the sign for us.
She's hiding in there.
Oh, she is? Okay. Thank you, Denise.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
So,
let Angie also introduce themselves briefly.
Yeah, I was going to introduce Angie real quick.
okay, and with that, I will hand the mic off.
All right, so like Chris said, we sent out a survey a few months back. A lot of you guys filled it out. I don't know exactly who filled it out because it was anonymous, but I appreciate the people who took the time to fill it out. And we just did it in an email blast. It was a quick survey. What we wanted to know was just some key points. What things did you like? What things did you not like? One of the areas that got a really, really low rating was Hawthorne Management Company. Some of that's residual stuff left over from when they were working for our developer. Some of that was stuff that had happened since people had moved in. So the easiest thing for us to do was to just take a look at our management company. We went out, we looked at a couple different companies, and ultimately we landed on Association Management Group of Charlotte. We're very happy with them. They're a large company with a small company feel. They're based here in Pineville, a few minutes from where we are right now. It's about a 7-minute drive from my doorstep to their doorstep, so everybody in the neighborhood can get there in less than 10 minutes. So if you need to go by, talk to a manager, try to find out something's going on in the neighborhood, if it's something we haven't answered or made available easily, or if you got a payment question or something like that, hopefully going forward it'll be a lot easier. With that, what I'll do is I'll introduce Danielle. You want to come up? Danielle's just going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about AMG and introduce herself because she'll be our new manager.
Thank you, all the Zoom people here. Yeah.
My name is Danielle Rudisill. As you said, I'm with Association Management Group of Charlotte. Association Management Group was founded in 1984 and out of Greensboro, and we opened our Charlotte office in 1993, so we have over 25 years of experience. I've been a community manager for almost 10 years with Association Management Group. We are so excited to get started with Almond, Glen. We've actually already started getting the ball rolling on several different projects. Our official start date is February 1st. As Rob said, we're right around the corner from the Bell Johnson Center and in pretty close proximity to Almond, Glen. If you guys need to get in touch with me for any reason, my contact information is on a card in the back of the room. Please feel free to take one with you. And I'm just really excited to get started working with you guys. If you guys have any questions or specific concerns that you'd like me to follow up with, please feel free to stop by and see me after the meeting, and I'll be more than happy to work with the board on getting those concerns resolved.
She's being modest a little bit. We actually gave her several projects to get started on right from the beginning. I just kind of threw them at her to see how she'd handle them. She's jumped right in. She's already working for us and she's here on a Sunday along with her assistant. And, she doesn't even start for a few more days. So we're excited about AMG. I think they're going to be a good fit for our community. Hopefully they're going to help solve kind of some of the problems, the areas where people weren't happy, and get some of that kind of corrected. One thing we do expect going forward is a little bit of a change-up problem because people are sending payments to Hawthorne still. Now you're going to have to switch over to a new company. That'll work as part of the changeover. We'll get that taken care of. So as you're going forward, if you or your neighbors are saying, I sent my payment in, but they're not showing it or something like that, give her a call. We'll be able to get it corrected. It's not an unusual thing. One of the key things that we chose Danielle based on was her years of experience. Lisa was a good manager. She tried really hard, but she only had a couple years experience. A lot of it was with us. Going forward, we're going to really try to steal a lot of her knowledge and experience and put it to work for our neighborhood. With that, we'll move on to the next phase here, which is going to be talking about where we're going in the future for the first quarter. I think, Alicia, are you handling that? Who's handling that? Let's put Alicia to that.
Sure.
Not my glass, man.
I don't need a mic, I got a big mouth. So if you look at first quarter, and let me start off with that.
everybody knows I work for this big old financial company, so if we don't have dates, we don't get stuff done. So I just put some projected dates up here. So Q1, quarter one, we're trying to get our transition to a management company, which we stated before. You'll be getting some new payment books, some letters in the mail about where to send your payments to. And we've already started to change over our accounts with Hawthorne, so the depositing will be handled correctly. But expect some transition. Landscaper RFP, so if anybody's familiar with RFPs or bids, we're going to start looking at new landscapers. I think a lot of our complaints come from the landscapers ran over flowers, or they didn't, they took out a bush, and that bush was my bush. So just to move forward and start anew, as well as get a better deal, the cost that we are paying for landscaping does not reflect in the beauty that should be in our neighborhood. So we're going to move on to someone new. And that's something Danielle's already started to help us with, is finding bids or getting bids for us. Reserve study. Anybody familiar with reserve studies means that we are looking for how much money should we have in our accounts to make sure that we can handle maintenance of our townhomes, of our roads throughout the community, as well as the common areas, so the pool. If you haven't been up to the pool, I suggest you go walk around. There needs to be some maintenance up there, not just with the physical pool, but the house, the bathrooms, the facilities. So we are going to have a study done to show, the condition of the roof of the townhomes, the condition of, the pavement at the pool area, the parking lot, to see projected out over 3-4 years, how much should we be saving should we have a hit, right? That is expected to be done around mid-first quarter, sometime in the second quarter. We are right now looking at 3 companies, I do believe, and we're going to make a decision about them and then go ahead and give the window to start. Final phase of the pool meter installation. Chris spoke very intelligently about that, so I'm going to leave it there. Spring, it's going to happen. Pool repairs. I'll probably defer a lot of these details over to Rob and Chris, but Lennar and the board, we have been in constant communication about pool repairs and who will take responsibility for some of the work. And at this point, we are waiting for core samples to come back. So that's as intelligent as I can speak about that. So I'm going to defer to you guys to fill in.
Fill in some blanks on that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the last level?
No, go ahead and talk about the pool. We got time.
All right. We'll jump in with the pool
Right now, we'll jump in. We'll talk about the pool a little bit. Is there another slide for that? I don't remember. Okay, good.
This is your only opportunity.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not cutting ahead. So the pool is a big question. Right now, the pool's broken. There's just no better way to put it. It's broken. And it's broken worse than anybody thought it was broken, maybe outside of John, who was kind of foreseeing a problem coming with it. And we had a lot of long discussions about how are we going to handle the pool. Right now, there's no reason to make it sound any better or worse than it is. We're doing everything we can to get Lennar to pay for the pool repair. There's a back and forth question as to whether or not Lennar has all the responsibility, some of the responsibility, none of the responsibility. We've done everything we can to put the responsibility on them. Anybody who's a Lennar homeowner, when you bought your home, they didn't tell you, hey, just so you know, the pool's going to be a huge expense because it's falling and sinking. And that's kind of what we're hanging our hat on right there. Essentially what's happening is the pool has sunk on the back end of the pool. If you were to walk up the pool and look at the 5-foot area, one side of the 5-foot area, the 5's above water. Of course, right now it's all drained. But even now, with it being drained, you can stand there, you can look, and you see the other side is dipped substantially. So the pool is basically sunk. There's different arguments as to why that happened, or how it happened, or if it'll continue to happen, but essentially, it's sunk. So what has happened so far, and I've tried to update through the website, but just to make sure everybody has a good idea of what's going on with it, we had Brian Pace, who is the consultant for Lennar that they hired specifically to deal with this issue. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. He came out and he took a look at the pool, and he came in with a couple of contractors. One of them was, what's the name of the company that built
Thompson.
What was the other one?
Southern Pool.
Southern Pools. And Southern Pools actually built the pool, so we weren't real excited about them. J.L. Thompson was the other contractor who came out, and there's nothing better to say about J.L. Thompson. He's just a good old boy who knows how to dig holes and fill them up with pools. So that seemed like a good guy. His bid actually was a better price on top of that, and he refused to do any work without core samples, which is basically drilling into the bottom of the pool to find out what the heck's underneath the pool. So that was a good thing. Lennar has picked up all of that so far. They've asked us for money, but we've refused to give it to them, essentially. Going forward, right now, Lennar has given the tagline, "We are committed to making sure that the pool repair gets done." What does that mean? That means they're not attaching themselves fully to it so that they can try to get out of it. I mean, that's basically the best way to put it. We hope that they'll continue on with it. We have no idea what the cost of that repair is. The last time we were given a number was in the $40,000 range. They were asking us to pay around $13,000 of that. We refused. They said, okay, we'll go ahead and take care of the repair, but we don't know what's going to happen. So we're just going to try to keep you updated as we go. We'll continue to put updates out on the website. There's no mystery to it. There's nothing sneaky about it. You guys are the homeowners association, so we want to make sure that you know what's going on with it. As far as getting the pool repair done, the hope is that it'll be done in time for the pool season to start. That's the plan right now. I've been told that once they start the work, it'll take a couple weeks to get the work done, and that was by J.L. Thompson, who, again, like I said, good old boy who knows how to dig a hole and put a pool in it. So he seemed pretty confident that once he started the work, that'd be fine. We drew the core samples, I believe it was December the 5th, is that about right? Yeah. December the 5th, we drained the pool. We couldn't even drain the pool until John made some phone calls to let the pumping stations down the way know that the water's coming. So we finally got that okayed. We got the water drained out of the pool. They came in, they dug the holes out, they drilled down through it, they hand augured them because they couldn't get in there with machines, and they pulled out a bunch of dirt. And that's my knowledge of dirt. Okay, that's it. So once they got the dirt out, they said we're going to send it off to a lab and we'll have the results in a couple weeks. About a week or two goes by, Spencer Kelly, who a lot of you know, calls me and says, hey Rob, just so you know, there's some guys up at the pool. By the time I got there, they were already gone. But what they had done, he had been out there talking with them, they came out and they took more core samples off the back of the pool, on the hill on the back. And that wasn't something they originally planned to do. So my guess is they figured out it was worse than they expected, and they came in real quickly and started trying to get more core samples. So I've sent emails back and forth, and essentially it's been a waiting game. They've been telling me we're waiting for the results to come back. We want to get everybody together and discuss our options, and then we'll come out and we'll have another meeting. As soon as I get that update, as soon as we have that meeting, I'll update you through Nextdoor and through the website again, and we'll put out everything we have at that point. Like I said, going forward, our goal is to open the pool on time. And one of the things we're going to discuss today as a board is going to be the contract with Aquatech, how we're going to renegotiate the numbers and staff. But as of now, we're planning to staff the pool just like always. What else was I going to talk about here?
Just the pool.
Is there anything else in there I want to
Well,
hit
we
on?
talked about the new trash contract, and Chris is handling that. The spring pool cleaning, if the pool's not open, we might delay that a little bit. But essentially that is pressure washing the bathrooms. The bathrooms are disgusting. There's mud and mold and things like that. So we'll do a cross-committee, neighborhood-wide effort. If you have a pressure washer, come, we'll feed you lunch or something. The shutters need to be replaced. There's just a laundry list of repairs that we started to compile and document with pictures. And we'll go to amenities, social, art, everyone to jump in and sort of head up different phases of the cleanup as well as any repairs that we can do ourselves just to keep the cost down from having to hire a maintenance person.
Yeah, what I'd like to point out there, and that's something I wanted to focus on real quick. I've had some people say to me, you know, I pay my dues. Why are we doing these things with, for instance, planting the flowers ourselves, or anybody who knew that we were planning to do the pool house cleanup? Why don't we just pay somebody to do it? And the answer is we can. We can pay somebody to do it, and we can take the money right out of dues, and we probably won't have to do anything different with the dues to make that happen. But we can also come together as a neighborhood, do things as a neighborhood, build a little community within ourselves. You know, it's a lot easier when I know Erica and I can say hi to her in the street and I know what's going on in the neighborhood as opposed to just walking down the street and I don't know anybody. You know, if you're in here and you don't know at least half of the people in this room, you ought to take the opportunity to get involved just so you can. It's nice when you walk into a room and you know everybody in the room. And I know a lot of you, even if I didn't know your face today, once I started talking to you, I recognize who you are. And that it's a good feeling. It creates that sense of community that we're going for. There's no nobody that doesn't know I'm a police officer, and a lot of what I see in the communities when I deal with all the crime and everything that's going on is people just don't know each other, and that's what creates all that crime. So these are opportunities for us to come together as a neighborhood to get things done. It builds a better community, and it saves us money. I can take money from a project and create a little neighborhood event where we all come together and we power wash and clean up the pool house, paint it, make it look nice. We can take a little sense of pride in it. We know what's going on in the neighborhood, and at the same time save money and feed everybody on that day as a thank you. So it's a good opportunity for us to build community events while at the same time getting the stuff done that we got to do anyways. And it's better than just paying some contractor to come in and slop some paint all over the place and then they leave and they don't care. So that's why we're doing those things. And I hope that some of you guys can make it out to help us out with that when the spring comes around. If you can't, you know, you've got a son or a daughter or somebody who comes over and visits a lot, maybe they want to come out and help us, encourage them to get involved. You know, we'll take everybody we can get. Everybody's a part of the same community. So that's why we're doing those things. I know I've had those questions come up before, and that's just something I wanted to hit on today while we have the time for it. We'll go on to the next part here, which is, I think, communications update, right?
Well, I'll just wrap up a little bit. So Summerfest, we're going to do a spring event, but we have a lot going on in the spring right now. So we're going to push that to perhaps a pool opening, or we wish the pool was opening, event. And we'll do some traditional things that I think everyone has rallied around over the last couple of years, maybe we skipped a year or so, but like an egg hunt. I think that was very successful. We got some people who, you know, who just went all out for a couple of years with the eggs. I actually have like 1,000 eggs in my house from stuffing them in Andrea's dining room a couple of years ago. And then other things that are sort of traditional and that will happen on a regular basis. The newsletter is quarterly. So we'll have another one in the spring, another one in third quarter. And just to talk about the newsletter, again, it transitioned from an expense. It's about $250-ish to print it out. The time it goes into soliciting content or coming up with content, forcing these guys to write stuff up, just hours and hours of time. Right now we've had 4 sponsors for the newsletter, which paid for all the cost of printing. So we actually made a profit, and those profits were turned into donuts today, and coffee and hot chocolate, some of them. So we didn't have to take any money from our reserves or from the miscellaneous, you know, petty cash. We actually got that money from our newsletter. So I'm going to keep running my big mouth. Communications update. That's me. So we talked briefly about sort of Nextdoor and the website, and I get it all the time, like, well, I don't want to be on Nextdoor. I left Almond Glen Friends on Facebook. We just want to make sure everybody understands why we use certain channels for certain types of communications, and you'll see some redundancies across them, because some people have a preference of one thing over another. My mom still writes a check, pays her bills, goes to the post office, right? That's her thing. I'm all about text messaging, don't even, you know, stuff like that. So we have to have cross channels or multiple channels to communicate. So the website, informational portal, right? You need a form, you need a document, you want to go back and search the archives of financial documents dating back to 2007. That's where you're going to find all the content. You'll also find the structure of our board, of our committees, community articles, or I should say Rob's blog, right? Event notifications can be posted there, so if you're having some type of event, you can contact us. We can put it up. But it's also, you know, just a portal to all of the vendors or companies that we use, like our management company, our trash company. You'll have a link to all of those services or providers there. So if you have a problem or a question or concern, you'll know how to find them and reach out. And then community sponsor info. So as we get people to advertise in our newsletter, on our website, we sort of in turn, or the exchange, the value exchange there is that you get to be in our newsletter, you get to be on our website, and we will keep it up for 60 to 90 days, depending on the cost that they select. Nextdoor, fairly new to everybody, but it's sort of like the answer to Facebook, right? It's all about your neighborhood. So again, you don't have to see someone's puppies. I like puppies, I'm pro puppy. But sometimes you just want to go and it be all about that specific thing, right? So this is all about your neighborhood and the surrounding area. So you can go there and find content, and you can also socialize on that platform. So I think it was somebody was selling or looking for a wash machine or something, right? That might be a good place to start. If you're selling a rug, somebody had a rug. for sale recently, put it on Nextdoor. And you can also interface with us or have a dialogue with the board as well. So people, we'll post documents, someone says, well, this wasn't in there, I will respond, or someone here will respond to you there. So everything else is sort of redundant about that is the notification plays, archives, email. So email is for you guys to submit like ARC requests. You can send it to the Almond, Glen HOA mailbox. We will respond to you, as well as we will get that information over to our architectural committee. CCRs and bylaws, if you want to submit a violation of them, you can send it to the mailbox with your information or description of it there. We'll pick it up, respond to you, say we got it. Information requests. If you don't navigate the website, you don't have Nextdoor, you want the minutes, you want a document, send it to us. Give us about 2 to 3 day turnaround on that. We can send you a soft copy of it. And paperless newsletter distribution. So if you are like Save the Planet, you want to opt in to get your newsletter via email, you can send us, opt out paper email in the subject line with your address and your email, and it can be multiple emails. A lot of people have done that for their husbands, spouses, children. We'll sign you up. So the next newsletter, you save a tree because you get it in email. The newsletter, quarterly communication, just to promote the community. And when I say community, the community all around us. We've been knocking on doors with local businesses, and our next newsletter will be all about local businesses. So we've talked to like Shane's Rib Shack, and we've talked to the new Flipside Cafe, and there's a barbershop up the street off Flint Hill. We've talked to those folks, and they're very interested. And we tout sort of the numbers in our neighborhood, the number of houses, number of people. There's a lot of kids. It's a fertile neighborhood, right? So people with bouncy houses, we're like, come advertise with us. There are a lot of children over here. So the quarterly newsletter will come out, and our block captains distribute that, and we try not to have people just like slip it in your mailbox. Sometimes that's the last resort if we're like, we can't coordinate with our block captains, but we try to get them to knock on your door and say, hey, this is the content within the newsletter. I'm gonna explain it to you. Mail is like the official route of communication, right? So I mentioned with the transition, you'll get your payment information, you'll get your new coupon booklets through mail. Your annual meeting notifications, we sent out one this time as an open open meeting, so you all get it. And violation notices and hearings will come through the mail. Content guidelines, so if you don't know, we're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit organization. It's a special name after our nonprofit status, but nonetheless, we have some guidelines for communications that go up on our website and our newsletter. So permitted content, community events, services, clubs, homeowner tips, how-to, membership and board updates. Unpermitted content, political stuff. So fundraising for, we love cats, can't do it, something like that. Political notices for a particular candidate, petitions, objectionable services. That is very broad, so we will have a conversation amongst us and some other folks to understand what objectionable is. And illegal services. So you can't sell your bootleg items on our website. Just can't happen that way. And there are probably other things that we miss. So this is an evolving list of unpermittable content. That's how we learn what is acceptable and not acceptable. But if you would like to, I'm going to skip ahead, to submit any content to us for a newsletter, for the website, you can send it to the Almond Glen HOA mailbox. And our next newsletter, as I mentioned before, is the April-May timeframe. And if you have content for the website, give us about 5-day turnaround on that, just because we have to go through, somebody who has the expertise to actually format it and put it up and get it right. Now, I went out of order here. I wanted to talk about the numbers and how we came up with how we can actually profit off of our newsletter. So, I went through and looked at some advertising examples of other communities and how they have done this in the past. And what they've done is they put a value on each house. So we have about 294 homes in our community. For print, we went with a rate of 15 cents per house. So if you multiply that, 294 times 15 cents, you get, it's not right at $45, but if you round up to the next dollar, it's $45. So if I went to someone and said, hey, would you like to be in our next newsletter? I can put you an ad, and I have examples here below, in our newsletter for $45, right? That's one quarter, one-time hit. If you'd like to be on our website, instead of in print, it's 25 cents a house. So you do the math. It's $2.94 times 25 cents, and you get about $70-something rounded up to 75 flat rate. If you would like to be on both, right? And that's what I'm always selling. I'll run a special, like, hey, got a special going on here. It's always the same price. $130 will do both print and website. And what we're doing is a 60-day cycle for the website, a 30-day cycle for the website, but if you do both, we'll do 60 days on the website. And we will work with them with what size, if they want a half page, quarter page, we can negotiate the price a little bit. But to give you an example, Liberty Waste Management, they paid us, they said, we don't, just tell us how much your printing cost is, put us up on your website for the term, put us in the paper, and they paid about $214 to us because they wanted to support the community as well as get the exposure. Again, you have content, a lot of people sending me stuff with clubs or things that are local, you know, send it to us, we can get it in the next edition, but again, the website is real time, just give us a little time to get it up there.
How many different trash companies do you have coming in this place? How many different trash companies do we have? I mean,
This is actually something I was going to talk about,
Okay.
and what we'll do is since they paid so much money, and since this is being recorded for later for people to watch who aren't here, we'll go ahead and take a break for a message from our sponsor here, so to speak. Liberty Waste is a newer company. They actually bought out a couple different companies. One of them was Indian Land Trash, and they're the white truck that you see coming through the neighborhood every once in a while collecting. And like he was pointing out, we have several different companies there in the neighborhood. I want to say Liberty actually just called me to tell me they're going to reduce my bill, and it's because I was paying $20 a month, I think, for a single pickup. Now, some of you have been getting your trash picked up here for so long, you might have better deals, things like that with sharing trash and others. If you start having issues, you start thinking about maybe switching companies, I would highly recommend Liberty Waste. They have been extremely, I guess the best way to put it is just they've been really aggressive about getting the business in the neighborhood. They are extremely courteous. They're nice guys. The guys who are on the truck actually own the company. So when you're seeing them coming around, if there's a problem of some sort, you're not going to be talking to a guy who's talking to a guy who might talk to somebody who's going to tell somebody later who's going to ignore your email or something like that. You're going to be talking directly to the guy who owns the company. They're nice guys. They come up and knock on the door if you forget your trash can. They know when your pickup is. They've got a few houses in the neighborhood. They have the blue trash cans they see out front. So I would really suggest that if you're looking at a different company, give them a call, find out what the pricing is. If you have better pricing with another company, talk to them about it. There's a real good chance that they'll go ahead and match it. So if you've got some sort of 2-day-a-week pickup or something like that, we'll go ahead and take care of it. I know I'm seeing people that want to ask questions or whatever. We're going to definitely make time for you guys to ask questions. So let's just go ahead and get through the rest of it because we have the treasurer's report coming up, and a lot of people I think want to know about that. But I just wanted to take a moment to just point out Liberty Waste again because they like she said, they paid for all the printing costs. They actually made it so we can put that newsletter out for free, and I see nothing but good things coming out of them. At this time, we'll go ahead and introduce our treasurer again, Brigida, and she's gonna do her very best here with her. She doesn't like to publicly speak, I don't think, so don't pick on her too much.
No.
You want the microphone? You want to try
No,
to
I
yell
don't think I
at me?
need it.
All right.
Well, I just want to share with you guys our financial picture. The good news is that we presently have $68,309 in our cash reserve. That's combined with the townhomes reserve and the single homes reserve. For the single homes family, we have $50,309.90. That's the reserve for the single homes family. And the townhomes, we have $18,633. That's the reserve for the townhomes. This is about twice what we had last year in reserves that we have now. And of course, this effort, reflects the effort of this board to minimize expenses for the HOA and to cut and save everywhere we could, to save money to put toward the reserves. And everyone have heard how Alicia and Chris, Rob worked so hard with those contracts to get it, including our management company. We pay much less than we were paying, and so it's been a great effort and each one of us, and, each part of us doing this. We are in the process, and Alicia already touched on that, of selecting the research study company. That's a very important thing that we need to do, and that's to let us know how much we really have to have in reserve, especially because, you'll be surprised how much money, even the pool, it will cost in a couple of years to replace the lining. You'll be shocked like I was when he told me how much the lining of the pool will cost to replace in another 10 years. So we need that study, so it's very important. But now I'm going to introduce to you Simi McIntyre, and he is the chairman of the finance committee, and he's the one that put the budget together for us, for the association, for the HOA rather. And he did a great job, he did an excellent job. And now he's going to give you an overview of the budget that he prepared for us.
Well, thanks, appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to say to the membership, the board members worked really, really hard last year to crunch the numbers. They did a phenomenal job. I think they saved overall from what our expenditures were in 2013 to 2014, about $11,000. That's money that comes directly out of our pockets, the money that we spend. So the board members need to be congratulated for that. I consider that to be their main function. Of course, I'm a numbers guy. That's all I really care about. But they really did do a good job through the pool contract, through the water refunctioning of the water, where we don't have to pay sewage off of the irrigation, through some really hard-nosed negotiations with a lot of our contractors. They really did a good job of saving the association and the members a significant amount of money last year. There isn't a lot of complicated stuff in the budget. It's pretty straightforward. The things to keep in mind for this year and going forward is, if you look on the revenue side, generally in the past we had working capital assessment coming in, or we would have builder assessments coming in. Now that we're a completely populated community, the only revenue source that we're going to have is the sources that we pay on our membership dues. For the single family homes, that'll be about $158,000. For the townhomes, it's $64,000. And to be honest with you, those two, while we do budget them separately, because we do have some contracts that are specific for the townhomes, or some that are specific for the property itself, that money all ends up into one pot. And I think legally, Rob, that's where it has to be. There's no chance to split that apart. So really, when you're looking at our budget, you're really looking at this far right-hand column to begin with. We've got $222,000 roughly in revenue that we have coming in from our membership dues. A little bit in interest income. We'd like to make sure that the late fee income is zero, because we really don't want any late fees. We want everybody to pay on time. So, with that, we've got around $223,000 total coming in. We've got 154 going out in expenses. 118,000 of that is buildings and grounds expenses. The big hitters there are going to be the electricity. Electricity, last year we budgeted $16,000. It's $29,000 this year. And last year we actually spent $29,000. What that was in 2013, the community increased by half again. More street lights, so the electricity budget went up. It is what it is. I mean, we've got to pay that. But it is one of the big hitters. So our electricity budget for the street lights and for the pool house and everything's about $29,000. Another big hitter is the landscape contract. We took a pretty big hit on that. It went up a little bit for our townhomes, but I know we're working really hard to negotiate that landscape contract back down and to get better services for the money we're spending. I agree with the board. If we're spending $28,000 for the landscape contract, we ought to have really beautiful communities. So they're going to work really hard to make that happen in the next year, I'm sure. Some other big hitters, landscape supplies, the pool contract, something to keep in mind, that pool contract last year was $27,000. It's $19,000 this year. They saved $8,000 by having the pool reassigned to a Class B, I believe it was, or something like that. So that's a big savings there. And then trash removal, those things we can't get away from. You can go ahead and go down. A couple other big hitters, insurance expense, that's insurance on the townhomes primarily. That is what it is. We have to spend that. Management fees, last year again, they renegotiated the contract. Last year our management fees were $19,000. This year they're going to be $13,000. It's a significant savings of about $6,000. So all told, we've got total expense of $154,234. And if you take the $223,000 in revenues we come in, you go back up top, that leaves us with about $68,000, or really $69,000. All that goes directly into our reserves. Now, sometime this year, as the board's mentioned, we're going to be doing a reserve study to find out exactly how much we should be putting in our reserves on an annual basis, so that when we have to replace the roofs on the townhomes, because the HOA has to do that, and when we have to replace the pool liner, when that has to be done, we know what those costs are going to be and how much we need to be putting into reserves every year to be able to do that. Right now, I'm pleased with the $68,000. I guarantee you, when we looked at this at the beginning of the year, that number was not $68,000. As a matter of fact, that number was a lot closer to zero. But the board did a really good job of managing that, getting the numbers together, drawing it in, and really making sure that every dollar that comes into the association gets spent on something worthy and worthwhile, and what doesn't goes directly to the reserves to pay for those things that we'll have coming down the road. Any questions specifically about the numbers? Any of the specifics about any of the budget items, you can probably ask the board, but if you have any questions about the numbers, I can have any. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sydney. A couple things we want to point out, and thank you, Sydney, for summing it up. First and foremost, Sydney and his committee that we put together with the financial committee, we couldn't do this. I'm not a numbers guy. I don't have a clue what he's talking about half the time. My eyes glaze over. I ask him to get crayons and a big chalkboard or something for me. So I don't always understand the numbers exactly. That's not how my brain works, but I understand some basic things. Last year, we were spending too much money, like we had a credit card, which we don't have. This year, we're not going to do that. So one thing I want to make sure that you guys understand, as of right now, Sydney, stop me and slap me if I'm wrong, but we don't have to raise dues, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So there you go. We're not going to raise dues, and that's the thing. Now on the flip side, we're not going to lower dues right now, and the reason is we've got something really important to take care of in the neighborhood that a lot of times I think people forget about, and that's the townhomes. The townhomes are a kind of sitting off to the side there, and they're the kind of thing that if we don't maintain them over time, the value of the townhomes will drop. If the value of the townhomes drop, then the value of everybody's home in the neighborhood drops. The townhomes are the easiest thing to kind of fall by the wayside because they don't have the ability to put a new roof on their house if they need it. They don't have the ability to fix the facade on the outside of their home if it needs it. Whereas I can go to a single-family homeowner and I can say, hey, your house is starting to look really bad. You signed a contract and you promised to keep your house looking nice. We demand that you do that for the neighborhood. I can't do that to a town homeowner because that's our job to take care of. And that includes town homeowners. They pay a lot more money in dues than we do, as we've seen if you're a single-family homeowner. And we want to make sure that we're doing that. So things like maintenance and things like that, they need to be taken care of. We need to set aside a lot of money in reserves. We need to prepare for things like Bridget alluded to, the pool. The plaster lining of the pool has to be replaced in probably 6 to 7 years, and it's about a $25,000 cost. So just like everybody here has a car and you have to plan for when you have to buy that new car, we all have to plan for when we have to buy these new items, these capital improvements. So we're setting that money aside and we're finding places to use it. The more money that we take right now and put off to the side equals out to a longer period of time that we can go without having to raise the dues. I mean, we're not even raising the dues 3% to pick up for cost of living this year. Right now, they're staying exactly where they are, and that's just because we're reducing these contracts, and that's been our main effort because it's our money too. You know, we're not a corporation who doesn't care. We spend the money every month ourselves or every quarter. My apologies to AMG that we cut the cost the way we did there, but the management company was a good opportunity for us to save some money, so that's what we've done. And then the reserve study, for anybody who doesn't know what a reserve study is, and we may get some more detail on that, but essentially we want to figure out how long we need to put money aside in order to be able to pay for those big things eventually. So when the roof comes due to be replaced on one of the townhomes, we want to make sure that we prepared properly so that we don't have to go knocking on everybody's door and say, hey, we need to have a meeting because we need to do a special assessment. We can't just do a special assessment ourselves. We only have the power through the board to raise the dues 6% per year. So that's one of the things we have to kind of plan for. So that's kind of the goal of the money and the way we've worked it this year. So if anybody was hoping that we would reduce the cost of the dues, I apologize. We've done everything we can to make it so that hopefully we won't need to raise the dues for a while. and we'll just keep you updated as we go. We'll talk about that again in July, and we'll see where we are from there.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are we still not 100% compliance with all the dues paying in our community?
It's a good question. I beat up everybody all the time with the messages on not on Facebook anymore, because I'll generally delete things off Facebook if it's HOA specific, so that you don't have to be bothered by that. I do beat you up a little bit and beat up the neighbors through telling people, hey, you need to pay your dues, you need to pay your dues, you need to pay your dues. Compliance will never be 100%. I mean, that's just not realistic. It doesn't happen anywhere. Nationwide, 8% is generally what you seem to see. AMG might have better numbers than that. That's just the numbers that I am able to kind of figure out from what I do as far as research. Generally, at the end of everything, when the quarter runs to the end and all the payments are in and people who are going to pay late have got themselves there, we're at about 6% deficiency. That 6% deficiency includes a lot of people who are doing everything they can to make up for dues that they didn't pay in the past. There's only a few people in the neighborhood who are in such a bad spot financially that they're not able to pay their dues right now. But we've been working as a board to find ways to get rid of the lawyer costs, to reduce the fees, to try to find ways for them to catch up. But ultimately, everybody's got to pay their dues. So to answer your question, no, we're not there at 100% compliance with assessments being paid. But on the flip side, everybody's doing everything they can. And I'll continue to put those updates out there and to talk with people and let you know, hey, we're looking to get people to pay, and reminding people. And that's just to make sure that everybody knows when the bills are due. And this is why, I mean, you saw the budget. There's a lot of money that we've got to pay out every year, and we've got to make sure that we are prepared for that. It's very easy to fall behind, and when people do, we want to do everything we can to give them an opportunity to catch back up. So if you are paying on time, thank you. If you're behind, don't worry about it. Get caught up. We'll keep working with you. We'll do everything we can to make it so that you guys can get caught up, because I don't want to lose a neighbor to a foreclosure. Remember, it's your mortgage company first, and the HOA right behind that. Cut the cable guy if you have to, because the cable guy won't foreclose on your house. Plain and simple. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. John, up to committees. So I'll introduce John Rodman now.
I haven't got enough hands for a microphone and paper. I don't want to forget anybody, but actually we have to congratulate Rob. He has done a great job in pulling together 5 committees. I mean, everyone's worked on it, but nobody like Rob has. And committees are important because they're just the background of or the backbone, I should say, of our association. Provide input coming up through, from the homeowners. It's a good way to get information to those of us that need it. And so we've established 5 committees, and starting out with the amenities committee, we've got John Penry, and of course the members there, Mike Reed, Janet Coltrane, Spencer Kelly, and Mike Magnano, and then it's overseen by Chris. So they've been a big push this year, and we've got a few different studies. Chris is here.
If you are, raise your hand or yell out.
There's
Mike in the back.
Oh, and Mike's here. Behind the, there he is. Then we got our architectural review committee. They've definitely been working pretty hard. We got Chanda. Yep. And then with the members, I don't know if Terry Jordan, Rebecca, Jennifer Hansen, Dennis, Denise. Denise, it is. All right. Well, excellent. Thank you for all of your hard work over there. And then we got our social committee. Where it's going to be determined who's going to be the new lead on social committee. Got a couple candidates. And then for members, we have Clarissa Reed. Is Clarissa here?
Actually,
We haven't updated that, but if I could interject there, we should recognize, if she's still here, is she behind the pole?
Yes.
Virginia.
Virginia.
And Clarissa both, I mean, they've been running socials since, before there was a social committee. So they've moved on to other things, but since we were official back in July, these ladies have taken upon themselves to put on some amazing events, and the members that still remain you have on your list.
All right, so yeah, Clarissa Reed, Eric Schwartz. I see Eric Schwartz, put your hand up. And Miguel and Sarah Cray. And we got a new member on our social committee, Miss Suzanne Smith.
Sure.
Yeah. She's